Book Club. Thank you for being here. So we're on Toxic Parents, right? We've read the first 7 pages, but in those times we've met, we've gone very deep, right? Talking about the neglectful mother, the neglectful parent, and today I wanted to share about shunya, the outcome, if you have a neglectful mother. I want to also highlight the point that there's none of us who had a mother or father who was only neglectful. You know, so just like if you know Ayurveda, you can be Vata, Pitta, Kapha, predominant body type, or mind type, you can be Sattva, Rajas, Tamas, but you're not 100% only that, right? So same thing with this. So if you've taken the survey, you're going to get one type, but that doesn't mean your parent was 100% that type. That means predominant. But it could be like 51%. There's a whole nother half, you're like, well, not exactly. So also when we look at shunya, you're going to be like, well, I did have a neglectful mom, but I didn't turn out like that. Why not? There's so many other factors. I mean, there's your disposition. In other words, just say there's 5 kids in a family. They all have the neglectful mom. That doesn't mean all the 5 kids are going to turn out the same. Because you're coming with your own disposition as well, your own kind of nature, you know? And then on top of that, you have the other percentage of what she was and the time. Like if you're a baby 1 versus baby 5, the mom probably has learned a lot about mothering. Maybe she was neglectful for the first baby because she was clueless, because she didn't know how to be a mom, but maybe she learned over the years, you know, or maybe she was really good for the first one, but then she got postpartum depression, or she became an alcoholic. I mean, something got worse. So we don't know, you know, exactly all the factors. But the main point to focus on is the effects of the neglectful mother on you, if that's what your mother was. So don't focus on what she wasn't. No, but she was this, or because the tendency is going to be to probably make excuses for her. And I don't want to say excuses, but basically tell the story probably from her point of view of why she wasn't able to be there from you. Like if we brought the moms, all the neglectful moms in the hot seat here, they would be like, I did an amazing, you're calling me neglectful? What? This is ridiculous. I did such an amazing job with my kid. You don't know what I went through to be, I did such a good job. And in fact, you have no idea what my mother was like. My mother was neglectful. You want to know neglectful? That was my mother, not me. You see, so we don't want to perpetuate her story of invalidating your experience. Her story may be true. Most people did do better than their mother. True. But that doesn't mean that the things that she didn't hurt you. So part of the healing process is seeing the things that mother or father did to hurt you, but not being stuck in that rut of just blaming them. Obviously, they did it because of a certain set of things that happened to them that made them behave that way. First, you have to see it, and then you have to own it and not try to make them responsible for something that's called, I forgot my word, a healing fantasy. It's okay, there's something called, okay, thank you. Thank you. I got it, Krishna. I got it. Thank you. Thank you very much. There's something that's called a healing fantasy. And what a healing fantasy is when you are hoping, or a relationship fantasy, I guess it would be a better name. When you're hoping that it's going to have a different ending than it's actually having. So just say you're in a relationship with someone, may not be mom or dad, but somebody in your adult life, and you're like, oh, I was only hoping that they would say this, or that they would do this. And the truth is, they may have said or done something like that before in the relationship with you. So you're trying to like play the highlights reel of all the good times with that person, and the 90% of the time that's the lowlights reel of all the painful things you've done, you're ignoring that piece. So that's the story of a childhood of having an emotionally unattuned parent, that you only remember the few times they were attuned, and then you're trying to either get them to do that same thing again with you. Remember that time that you really saw me? That time that you really paid attention to me? You're trying to get them either to do that, or you're trying to get somebody in your life now to do that. Because there's no person who's like 100%, every interaction you've had with them is bad. So what happens is our inner child hangs on to the good memories that we had with our mother or father, or with the current person in our life that we're trying to get that fantasy relationship with. And we're going for that. So that's the importance of the inner child work, is you have to be the mother, authoritative mother, or father for your inner child and say, sweetie, I know that you wish that so-and-so would say or do so-and-so. But that's not their tendency. Most of the time they're actually saying or doing this. It's not fitting with what you want, I know. But I'm not going to continue to put you in that position where you're getting hurt. You know, hoping, kind of against all hope, that they'll somehow magically change in the way that would be good for you, you know. Maybe they will, but that's not up for us to control. We can't really make it happen, you know. So when you see the person for who they are, and then you see yourself, meaning your inner child, for the hope and dreams she or he had, it's sad, actually. That she's still hoping for that. Something mom could never give, that she's still now hoping either mom can give it or some girlfriend of hers can give it or something. It's really hard to see people for who they actually are, you know, because we're trying to get much more out of them than they probably have to give, and it's not really fair for us to put that on anybody else, that they have to give us all of that stuff, you know. That's, you know, the real work is it's our inside job, us to repair in ourselves, and then we don't need that from somebody else. And then they can be however they are, and we can joke and laugh with them and have fun, because we're not trying to get something out of them. We don't need something from them, you know. Does that make sense? All right, so we have Shunya already to look at today. Vilas, when you're ready, if you can play Shunya, we'll see how it goes, if everybody can hear. I think last time it worked good, right? Vilas, can somebody turn it so they can see? Jaya and Krishnadas can't see the screen, so can we turn it that way? Is it okay, or are they okay? Good? Okay. Ready? Front row seat for Shunya. Okay. So I'm going to ask you to pause. Yeah. Can you put it? Can it show here as well? Or no? There. I look. I should look there.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
My name is Shunya. I grew up feeling invisible. My parents weren't bad. They just weren't present. They were emotionally distant and pretty much unavailable.
Okay.
They weren't.
So does anybody see what he's already said that is defending the parents? What did he say? What line did he say, Jaya?
He said they were good.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, my parents weren't bad. They weren't bad. They were just unavailable. Do you see how already? His first sentence was what? I grew up feeling invisible. My parents weren't bad. They were just unavailable. Do you see already, like, that is how it starts. And that's his mantra in life. You know, my parents, I feel invisible, but whose fault is that? Whose fault is it that this kid is feeling invisible? Shunya. Parents. If you are feeling invisible as a child, it is not your fault. It's not. Are you invisible? I don't know of anybody with that superpower, okay? So no, you're not invisible. You are a human being. You have feelings, you have needs, you have a body, you have certain likes and dislikes. You know, you like certain colors and certain foods and certain activities. You have your own unique identity. So to the extent that you're feeling invisible, like you don't even exist, that is a very intense statement. And then right after that, but my parents, yeah, they're good. They're just, you know, unavailable. And he accepts it, right? It's accepted, and that's how children are. Whatever their parents are doing to them, however they're making them feel, they accept. And more than accept. Accept means you'd have to, like, think about it. So it's not like they're like, should I accept or not? It's not, I don't know what the right word is, but they...
There's no other option.
Yeah, they believe it. They believe it. There is no discernment. And it's not the child's fault. Children don't discern, you know? So it's just whatever gets presented to them, I'm like this, and here's my parents, and then he's going to go on explaining why there's nothing wrong with the parents, right? Let's hear what he says.
Unavailable. They weren't warm, and most of the time they seemed distracted, disengaged, or overwhelmed. I didn't get much guidance, support, or even basic attention. Their absence, whether physical, mental, or emotional, left me feeling completely alone. So I learned not to need anything.
Stop.
But
That's a good one. So he used all the words, right? You know, and it was very clear, and usually people aren't going to be that crystal clear in therapy. The shunya probably has been in therapy for 5 or 10 years to be able to say that, right? Because at the beginning it doesn't go like that. At the beginning it's like, they're not bad. And then they get mad at you for saying, you might want to think that, you know, so you might want to introspect on that and read this book, Toxic Parents, you know? But that usually doesn't go over so well, right? It takes a long time to get to the point that what Shunya was saying, you know? But then he said, what was this last sentence he said? Sorry.
left me feeling completely alone. So I learned not to need anything.
Go. I learned not to need anything. So let's analyze that for a minute. I learned not to need anything. How that looks is when you're independent. You don't need anybody to help you with your feelings. Like if you're triggered and you're having a hard time, you're not going to go to anybody and say, I'm having a hard time right now. I'm feeling really anxious. I'm feeling really nervous. I'm feeling really angry. So you learn not to need anything. I don't need help with my feelings. I don't need help with my homework. I don't need help with my basic needs even, maybe clothes or food, whatever it is, you learn not to need anything. Because invisible people are ghosts. They don't need anything, right? Except for a body to inhabit. But the shunya type, this personality type, you really feel like, yeah, I don't need anything. So how this looks as an adult, like shunya, is they're hyper independent, super independent. You know, they've got it all covered. They've got, not only that, they can be in the room and you'll never know it. You know, they just go in the corner. They don't say anything. They're, you know, they just don't even feel like they deserve to have a voice. You know, they feel like they're taking up too much space if they get noticed. So I learned to not need anything. That's so sad. I mean, we all need something. That's why we're in the human race, you know, and we have these mirror neurons in our brain. We are very social animals, right? And we need to connect with other people. So to get to the point where you have learned not to need anything, that means that your caregivers have let you down so bad that you don't even, it's like closed down for business, your heart. The idea of ever putting yourself out there again in a vulnerable way. So that's a big one to think about. If you got the neglectful parenting type, and so you got shunya, just think in your life, how are some ways that I might have learned not to need anything? And if you can't connect those dots, ask somebody that you're in an intimate emotional relationship with. You know, do you feel that I share with you what I'm feeling and what I need emotionally? Do I ask for help? Sometimes if you trust the person enough, they can reflect that back to you. Okay, let's go a little further and see what else our friend Shunya says.
But inside, I felt hollow, like I didn't really exist. I felt empty, disconnected, rejected, abandoned, and desperately lonely.
Okay. So this is a very common theme, those feeling words, right? Rejected and empty, abandoned, desperately lonely, you know? And that is, for the shunya type, very common set of feelings. Because if you feel invisible and that what you feel doesn't matter and what you need doesn't matter, you're going to feel so empty and so lonely and hollow. You know, that's why Babaji gave the name shunya, because it means hollow, empty, zero, nothing. You know, that's how you feel. And so you're going to feel that actually you can be in a room full of people at your very own birthday party, for example, and you can feel alone. Because you never really truly feel that anybody understands you and that you can't connect with anybody. It doesn't matter how many people around. You can be married with 5 kids, you know, and you will still feel like I just feel lonely. I feel empty. I feel disconnected. Nobody understands me. you know? So that shows that it actually doesn't have to do with what's physically going on around you. Because you can be in your birthday party full of a room full of people for you, and you're still feeling lonely. You can be in a big family that you've created of all the people, your own kids and wife or husband, and still feel lonely, empty, disconnected. So that's because the samskara is so heavy. It permeates everything that you're seeing, every relationship you're seeing, And then on top of that, because you feel invisible and because you act invisible, then that's how people treat you. But you've been trained, you've been conditioned on how to act like that by your mom or dad. So then you act like that, and then you go, see, nobody cares about me. But it's because you don't know how to actually engage in a relationship. You don't even know what to do. So then when somebody is loving and kind to you, you don't reciprocate. You're just like a lump, like a stone piece, you don't do anything back. And then you're like, I feel so, so lonely, so empty. But it's like, well, have you, when there's opportunities to be social, to interact, to respond, do you do it? And do you know how to do it in a way that would make the other person feel like they want to be your friend? Probably not, And then there's these other two feeling words which are really important. That's also part of the shunya, is rejected, and chronically rejected and abandoned. So that's a perception that you have that's probably not the reality. Most of the time that's not the reality. The reality is your mother or father made you feel that way chronically. So now you're feeling that everybody's doing it. And every story will end somehow that this person has rejected you or abandoned you when they haven't actually. But you're seeing it that way. That's your colored samskara glasses of being chronically rejected by mom. I mean, look at the picture, her back, the mother's, well, not that picture, but sorry, the one of the mother in the sari with the back to the kid. And the kid's so desperate, he's drawing on the wall. The shunya is drawing on the wall. So that feeling of rejection and abandonment was so heavy, so deeply put inside of this shunya type, that he's going to see everything like that. Even when it's not like that. And then the worst part, to make things worse, is that he will act in ways to get himself rejected and abandoned. And that's very sad. That is very sad, So in therapy, I will try to help my clients see, yes, okay, that person actually did reject you, but do you see your part of it, what you said or what you did to get them to reject you? And that is very hard to see because the mother, most likely, didn't hold the mirror up to show. The mother wasn't attuning, so she didn't give feedback on your behavior. And so you don't understand that when you do X, Y, and Z, it's going to actually push the other person away. Then they are going to reject you. But usually what happens is they'll come to therapy and the story begins with, see how this person rejected me. I just can't pick the right people. All my friends or all my partners, they always reject me. It's like, well, let's rewind back 2 frames and look at what you've been doing chronically to make people reject you. Because if you're going to put the onus on all those people rejecting you, what do those people have in common? Nothing, other than that they know you. The common denominator is you and your behavior. And it's like, no, but they're all in my family. Or no, my picker's broken. That's a common one. I always pick the wrong person. That may be part of it too. You're attracted to people who will reject you, but it's your behavior for sure that you learned in your childhood that you're unaware of because it's the only thing you know on how to behave in a very particular way to get people to reject you. So this idea of when you go to somebody and shunya can never feel like they've gotten enough, the shunya type. It's like insatiable. That doesn't feel nice if you're the friend or lover or husband or wife or, they're even if you're in your business, you're working together with them. If your needs are insatiable and you're putting it on the other person, are they going to want to be friends with you long term? No matter how much you give to them, they're still wanting more? That's an exhausting relationship. That's how you feel on the receiving end of the shunya type who's going unchecked, unaware of their insatiable needs because they're chronically feeling lonely, chronically feeling unloved. So then you come close to them, and if you're the giving type, you're chronically trying to give. From your own kind of neurotic samskaras, you're trying to give, and it's never enough because they're holding a pot with 10 holes in it and everything's spilling out. And you're giving, and they're taking, but never actually even appreciating it. Or maybe they'll appreciate it for one sentence, they'll say one nice thing, but then they want more. And then do you love me, all that, it's coming out on you, as an adult in this adult relationship, and it's very exhausting, And then on the truth is that their mom probably most likely never gave them that, because that's mom's job to make them feel loved to make them make that secure attachment. But if it doesn't get made, they're going to do it to everybody in their life. It's not that they pick just you. That's their nature, so they're going to do it to everybody, this shunya type, And then they're wondering, well, why am I feeling so lonely? It's, well, because when people do give to you, you don't appreciate it, or you ask for more, or you make them feel bad about it, or you push them away. So how, so then you're like, but I just feel better on my own. It's safer on my own. That's it, I'm never going to try again. That doesn't work either, because you feel so lonely. But then you try again, and then you do something, and you make the group reject you, or the person reject you, or whoever it is you're trying with, they're going to reject you again, or you'll reject them. It's very hard to stick in a relationship for the shunya type, to actually stay in a relationship. That's a big challenge, because it's so unsafe. So they'll hop around from relationship to relationship to relationship, because as long as you jump around, nobody can hurt you as bad as mom did. And with mom, you were stuck. In those original, those important 7-10 years of life, you were stuck with that person who was hurting you every day by ignoring you and rejecting you. And mom did do that. It's just that all the people in your adult life probably aren't doing that. But it feels like that, And then when somebody does say, hey, I want to be with you, that feels even more uncomfortable than being rejected by somebody. So it's like you can't win. You don't really want to be intimate with somebody, even though you think you do. When it happens, you kick them away. Or you do something to push them away. And then you feel rejected and lonely. So this is this cycle, and it's just very hard to get out of until you see it clearly, until you see you're a part of it, what you're doing. And it's very, very subtle, because you've been doing it for your whole life, and you learn some of it from how your mom treated you too. So this is a hard one to talk about. I know it's probably very triggering and very painful. But once you learn it and you can catch it, then you can start either noticing the people in your life who you're in a relation with who are doing it to you, or you can catch yourself and start working on how to take care of your inner child, nurture your inner child, so you don't perpetuate that behavior, Let's see our friend Shunya feeling abandoned.
And desperately lonely. Most of my life, I've been second-guessing myself, afraid to speak up, always wondering, why don't they love me? Then I took the toxic parenting survey. It named what I'd carried for years. It showed me my parents used a neglectful style, and that's why I often feel unworthy and doubt my worth. I also joined the Vedic Psychology book club, where we're reading Toxic Parents, and it's honestly been such a shift. You're not alone, join us.
Okay, even to that end, his little plug, right? What did he say? What was his plug? Even he was acting like Shunya in what he said. You're not alone. That's the Shunya type. Chronically, they want to feel that they're not alone. They want to feel not lonely, right? So if you say you're not alone, you're part of something. So that's what I'm saying. He was even promoting the book club through his samskara. Like, if you're the authoritative, you had authoritative parents, just say, that's not attractive to hear you're not alone. I'm like, I'm not coming to the book club because I'm feeling alone. So you see what I'm saying? So he's even promoting the book club. He's like, you're not alone, guys, don't worry. And the other shunyas are like, cool, we're not alone? Yeah. When does it start? Can we do it every day, 24/7, But the non-shunya types are like, please, like, for different reasons, they don't need, that's not attractive to them, so even to the very end. That's what I'm trying to weave in and show you shunya from start to finish, And so what he has learned is not to speak up. That's one of the things he said, right? I learned as an adult I shouldn't speak up. Why? How do you think, we talked about why he learned how to be, independent, basically not ask for anything. But what about this not speaking up? Why do you think that Shunya, from his childhood, learned not to speak up? How did he learn that? Jaya?
I can guess if his parents did not give any attention to him, then even when he was speaking up, they would not hear him.
Exactly. You got it. Exactly. That's exactly it. So we learn by how our parents react to us, right? And Jaya was saying, if his parents didn't give him attention, then he learned not to speak up. Exactly. Because in the picture we made, right, he's drawing on the wall. I mean, that's like screaming for your parents' attention. And the mom has her back to him, right? So he learned even before drawing on the wall not to speak up. Because speaking up, he got nowhere. So he's like, let me take it up a notch. Let me draw on the wall. Am I going to get her attention there? No. And eventually what he learned was don't say anything. So as an adult, just shut all that off. Don't speak up. Don't draw on the wall. He learned nothing is going to get my mom's attention. Nothing. I'm just invisible. And of course he's going to struggle with self-esteem, because the mother and father were supposed to be there helping him see who he was, helping him see what he's good at, helping him realize your needs matter, your feelings matter. Of course you speak up. So then what happens in the adult life is either Shunya doesn't speak up, or when Shunya does, he never got any feedback, because mom and dad weren't paying attention, right? If they both were neglectful. So then he's going to speak up probably in inappropriate ways when he does. He doesn't know how to do it because he never did it, and he never got feedback, and the parents didn't do it. And that, your childhood is your like learning laboratory for how to be in a healthy relationship. But if mom and dad are neglectful, you don't know. So then you come, for example, in a group setting or a classroom setting, and you'll do all the inappropriate things. And then you get upset when people make boundaries with you and make rules because you didn't have any. The parent didn't even treat you like you existed, let alone make a rule for you and say, sweetie, that's not appropriate to do that. Here's why, You have to think about the other people in the room. There's 100 other people in the class. And when you share, you should probably just ask a quick, clear question. So it doesn't matter how many articles you write on Question the Question, like Babaji has written many times, right? He's talked about it. He's referred to an article about how to ask a clear question. If you grew up with neglectful parents, that's not going to mean anything to you. You're going to be driven only by your samskara to probably try to be seen again, especially by a father figure, Babaji, I'm just using his as an example because a lot of us are in his classes. So that's what happens, when your samskara will drive everything. Even like Shunya, you're not alone. Come to the group. So that's what I'm saying. It drives you 24/7. It's not like it only drives, my samskara is only flaring up every now and then. No, it's your operating system. That's like saying, well, when I'm driving the car, the engine, it only comes on every now and then. Or the steering wheel, I just use it here and there. No, it's the whole thing that's powering you. It's your operating system 24/7. It is working. Shunya is in action. The only question is, can you see it or not? Can you see how your Shunya is driving you if you've got that type? That's the question, to constantly reflect. That's why Vedic psychology is so much about introspection, about reflection, because otherwise what we can do, what can be not helpful, is if we see this and go, oh my God, I know a Shunya in my life. Now I know, because that's fine if you do and you think of ways to protect yourself, but at the same time, you see the part of the Shunya that might be in you, maybe only 10%. Even if you got neglected one time, was it something that was important to you that your parents neglected you on? That can put some effect in you to make you feel lonely. If you're feeling lonely, is it related to that event? So I'm going in so much depth and taking so much time so you can use this to go, ooh, could that relate to me? Even though that is really, really, really the most painful thing that none of us, our ahankara wants to let us go there, right? It's much easier to use this to analyze others. But I would encourage you to use these points as introspection, reflection tools and say, am I showing up as Shunya anywhere, anytime? And it could even be neglecting yourself, your needs and your feelings and what's important to you, and sacrificing that for someone else. It could be not so obvious, how it's showing up. Okay, Vilas.
Question. So if the Shunya is so afraid of connections and intimate relationships, then why would he say that join the book club, you're not alone? So does it mean that these Shunyas, there are variations, that some of them want relationships and some are very much afraid? Or could you maybe explain?
Good question. Good observation. So Shunya in a nutshell is the type that's blow hot, blow cold. They want it more than anything because they're feeling so lonely. Imagine you haven't eaten in your whole life, how hungry you'd be, dying of hunger. They want it more than anything, more than any of the three other types. They are so needy for that connection. But it's the thing that scares them the most, almost to death. So if you are in an experience with someone who's Shunya, you're going to get both from them. They're going to be blow hot, like, yes, come, you're not alone, let's be together. And it's going to be so exciting, you're going to feel, woo, this person. And usually it comes on very quick. Like, it'll be very fast that you make very fast friends. And all of a sudden you feel so connected. And then it feels too close for them. And then all of a sudden they're going to drop you like a hot potato. And you're like, wait, what? What did I do? If you're on the receiving end. Well, I don't know what happened. Now they're not available. What? And then all of a sudden they come blowing back in, blow hot. And we're like, woo, we're friends again. Because they're driven by two things. Extreme sense of loneliness and chronically feeling rejected. So as soon as they get in and come close to you, you're going to do something that's going to make them feel rejected. Not because you're rejecting them. You might be, actually. Sometimes you do. Just because that's what's going on with you. But at other times, they're all excited. You feel so close as friends. And then they say, can you come for tea on Tuesday at 2? And you say no. And that's it. That's enough to say, see, they rejected me. And there's things even more subtle than that. That they don't reciprocate the smile, that they don't respond to the text on time. Many things will make you feel rejected if you're shunya. But at the same time, you want more than anything. So you're going to do both. Join us, you're not alone. Come together and it'll be wonderful. They're not always like this. But when you come close, they're not consistent with that. They can't stay steady with that. Because like I said, the neglectful mother, she's not 100% of the time neglecting. There are nice moments of connection. So Shunya is going to replicate that. Does that make sense? Okay. Yes, Krishnadas.
Yeah, I have a couple group of questions. The first is, at what age, more or less, the child get this impression from the birth till what age? This is the first one.
First year.
The first year?
Yeah. This is you can research, but it's called attachment theory. And the secure attachment forms in the first year of life, the first year. After that, it's all gravy. I mean, other things happen to reinforce it, but just say, like, I've had some people and they're like, my parents were great. And I'm like, what happened in the first year? Oh, yeah, my mom had postpartum depression. My mom went on a vacation. One of my clients, many years ago, but he couldn't figure out what it was. The mom went on a vacation, not long, but for an infant, that's a long time. She went away for a month, and she left him with like some sort of caregiver that wasn't close for a month. And this baby was, but he was seeing me in his 60s, and he couldn't figure out this chronic anxiety, where it's coming from. Because for the most part, she was there. That's what I'm saying. So that first year of life, the baby needs to attach to the mom. And there's many, you can research it, and Babaji and I have created some courses on that as well. But that secure attachment needs to happen in the first year of life. And if it doesn't, literally the rest of your life, you're set to feel lonely, rejected, disconnected. But so just say, one other thing, just say that you make that secure attachment. But then age 3, something happens. Also, there can be a severe problem then too. It's not that only that it's sealed off. It needs to happen in the first year for many other things to happen, including brain development, the physical level, But if it did happen, but then something happens later, I have many clients where something happened later in those first 7 to 10 years. The first year was good, but something happens with the mother. And then it also can affect. So you've got to do the asking of questions of yourself, trying to figure yourself out or others. Where did the original injury happen? Is it a chronic thing? Was it a one-off thing? And then that's how you can start healing it, once you figure out the location of it, But it's a good question.
So the second one is, people who have divorced parents, and they may have different relationship with both of them, and grow with one and not with the other. So it means both impressions get into the child, right? Like get impression with one parent, the person live, and impression with the person don't live. Whatever is the relationship, both get into the person, and one on the other can blow up in different times, right?
Yes. I would have to say that more important is the mother.
Okay.
Especially because the secure attachment is not made with the father. It's made with the mother in the first year of life. So that needs to happen. The father's important, but he has a different role. His job is to provide, protect, play, discipline. Those are his key things, he needs to do. Mother is the heart. She's the one who makes you feel like you exist or not. She's the one validating every need, every feeling. Very intimate, that first year. And of course, also second year, third year, But that first year is so crucial, for her to make you feel that you exist. But yes, you have impressions coming from both mom and dad, different critical ones. It'd be like if you're making a cake You know, you need the dough, the flour and the eggs and the water and the sugar and all that. So every ingredient is important, you know, but they're quite different. How does a cake taste without sugar? It's going to be like a brick. I mean, it's probably going to be not that great, right? So that would be if you weren't raised with the mother. You're going to take form. You can take form, but there's no sweetness because your mother's your heart. She's the one validating your feelings the whole way through. So you're going to become a cake, but it'll be more rigid, it'll be more tight, it'll be more, you know, where's the softness, the sweetness? That's from mother. And if she's too caught up all in her own feelings, she's all overwhelmed by her own feelings, whatever those feelings are, then there's no room for the baby to have feelings. So there's like a saying that you can say, some psychologists say, like, you feel that you've been erased. Yeah. And there's a concept called, I'm forgetting the name now, but it's a type of system called like, I think it's called emotionally immature system, where the child's job, they've learned from the parent, is to regulate the parent's feelings. So forget about the child's feelings or needs. They have learned that to be a good boy, to get mom or dad's love or attention, I need to just forget about everything I think, I need, and I feel. And I have to chronically, you know, take care of mom, just say, don't upset mom. The whole family knows it. If that's the case, usually the father's like, yeah, don't upset mom, and he'll teach the kids too. Shh, mom's having a bad day. She's having a bad day, and the whole family's walking in eggshells. Don't upset mom. Don't upset mom. It's like the new last name of the family. So-and-so, don't upset mom. So-and-so, don't upset mom. You know, so the whole family has created this very dysfunctional system, which is, if the parents are emotionally immature, it's called, you know, then it's an emotionally immature system where the kid now, his job is to regulate the parent's feelings. And that's 3 of the 4 parenting types are like that.
So the other question is, whatever, like, we are not the same in the different groups we share. Like, some people are in the job and there are one like, some things get activated there, others in different contexts. So whatever context activate one of the toxic, let's say, impression, it is absolutely rooted in the parenting type.
Yeah.
Okay. It's not like because of...
Unless you're raised in an orphanage or by grandparents, but whoever the primary caregivers were in your first year of life is going to set the whole, how you are in your romantic relationships, how you are with your kids, how you are with your work, how you are with how you think about everything you're doing comes from that first year. If you're securely attached, which is very rare, but the other 3 types are insecure attachment styles, and that's going to drive everything. And that's why so many relationships don't work. Because if you're insecurely attached in one way, you know, and then the other person is too, how's it going to come together? It's going to be fireworks, explosion, World War III, you know? So that's eventually what happens. And that's why they say in relationships there's 2 types, you know, especially in romantic, right? There's the romantic love, when I just love you, which I've talked about before, which means I love how you make me feel. It's nothing about you, but you're making me feel good right now, so I love you, you know? But then after some time, I hate you, because you're hitting my samskaras and my ahankara that don't make me feel good. But when you can go beyond that and realize, okay, I have my set of issues, you have yours, let's try to work through that with empathy, with compassion, that's when the real healing can happen. And that's why a lot of times it's easier to heal, even though it's harder, when you're with somebody, because they're triggering all your stuff so you can see it. And if you hang in there and you both are doing your deep work, you can heal through it together. That'd be the ideal, you know, in a couple. That you trigger each other, but you're both working on it, and then you can come through to the other side together.
And the last one is, I noticed that in the different kind of toxic parenting, there is no specific toxic parenting that talks about verbally and physically abuse. Mm-hmm. It means it can be in all of these 3 types, I think. Maybe so. If someone had physically or verbally abused, but when some person made the survey, maybe it happened that it comes the healthy one, but you remember that in certain situation your father or your mother just get crazy and beat you and all that. How to put these kind of abuses in all of these parenting styles that you have been teaching?
Good question. So the authoritative will not be doing that unless they like had a one-off. I mean, no parent's perfect, but you know, if it's you're being physically abused, you know, or verbally abused, that's going to be the authoritarian type. So because there's no warmth, there's no, you know, they're very rigid and very harsh and no heart. So that's authoritarian. It's too strict. It's too severe. Whereas authoritative, you're making rules, but you're explaining them with love. So that they're not going to be abusing you. And same with permissive. Permissive is your friend. Permissive means, hey, I'm your buddy. You're 12. Let's have a beer. Let's have some pot too. And just say it's the father. He's saying to his 12-year-old daughter, I think your friend's kind of cute. Can I date her? I mean, it's like no boundaries, and it's completely. You're revealing your secrets. You're revealing your all private stuff. It's like the parent puts on the same level. They're just friends. So they're not going to be abusing you. I mean, physically. That's an emotional abuse, you know, but it's very subtle because you're like, they're my friend. But, you know, and then the shunya type, you know, that's emotional abuse and it's a neglect. She's not going to hit you because she doesn't even see you. Did you see her? She's not going to turn around and hit you. She's like, I'm saying in general, that is the case. So the most likely it's going to be the authoritarian type. But just say you took the survey and you're like, oh, my mom or my dad was authoritative. That might be because your inner child was taking the survey and not you. And your inner child is the one who wants to protect mom and dad and always put them in a good light. So it's like, no, I think they would do that. Guess what? Your inner child's remembering maybe 10% of the time. You know, not remembering the time when mom completely exploded on you, which maybe only happened once, but you got a black eye or something. So you have to maybe take it again and hold your inner child by the hand and say, sweetie, you know, you're safe with me, but I'm going to take it. I'm going to try to answer from a different place than your emotional place. Trying to protect mom and dad, I'm going to answer from, you know, more honest place. Not that your inner child's being dishonest, but they don't feel that it's safe to tell the truth, to really see the truth. But you're the father, so you can say, you're safe with me, but I'm going to answer it. You know, you're not going to be in trouble. Don't feel guilty. You can't get hurt now. You're safe with me, and so I'll try it again. That's my guess of what happens sometimes when people take it. If they're like, oh, my mom or dad was authoritative, and it's like, yeah, but sometimes they just blew up and beat me. It's like, well, that's called authoritarian, and that's your inner child who took the survey. That makes sense?
Yeah.
Good questions.
Yeah.
Okay, Vilas.
So there's a question by Vineet.
Okay.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. I'm sorry, I can't hear you. Okay, now I can. Yeah, Hare Krishna. Oh, I don't know where to look.
My question was, there is so much emphasis, maybe even during this survey and during this discussion about how our mothers treated us. Why is there not that much emphasis on how our fathers treated us?
Good question. So I'm focusing on that, number one, because it's a Shunya and Shunya's mother, so I'm just sticking with that example for starters. But the other reason is because the mother's job is to be connected to emotionally more than the father. And that's going to be more damaging if your mother emotionally neglected you than your father. So that's why I'm focusing on that's why we picked the example to give as a mother. Because if your mother doesn't emotionally connect with you, if she emotionally neglects you, then you're going to be shunya. You're going to feel that your feelings don't matter. You don't even have feelings. You're invisible. If the father does it, it's also not good. And we can talk about that. But once you understand mother, then father's not that much different. It's just that the father's role, if you understand the identity of father, his role is to protect and provide and to play with you. So his feelings have to be there, but not to the extent that mother, who has to be so attuned, she has to know if her baby's crying, to feed you. I mean, if she's not attuned to you and you don't get fed, what's going to happen? How long is it going to last, Right. So that's why I'm focusing on that. But do you have a specific question about father emotional attunement, or?
I guess what I was more interested in is if a father figure is maybe unavailable and the mother has to step in as both mother and father, how does that show up in such a survey? Does it affect that the mother is displaying masculine qualities which a father should display, and the father is not displaying any qualities in the upbringing of the child, does that affect how we perceive whether our parents are authoritarian and neglectful, and so on and so forth?
Good question. So I think the instructions say it, and I also said it, but you should take the survey twice, once for dad and once for mom. So
Okay.
not lumping the two parents together, right? So take it 2 separate times, and if your father wasn't there, basically, then you should be getting neglectful if he's not around. So in other words, like he's probably going to do the neglectful thing, you know? But mother might have been authoritative. She might have been there, she might have been checked in, or she might have been permissive, like too much there, too friendly, you know? So you have to see, but look at them separately, and then you can see how they affected you, because you'll probably get 2 separate personality types, and you have to see, okay, how much of each one am I? But if the mother stepped into that role, then lots of things can happen to you that aren't supposed to, you know, in terms of how you perceive yourself. But you can see by getting the results, you know, getting the results and seeing, okay, father wasn't there and mother wasn't there. But it's not a quick answer. It's a you know, because there's parenting styles, there's your personality type that came in, there's different roles, you know. So we're on parenting styles, but now you're asking about role of mother and father, which is also something different, you know. So I think we'll get into that over time. But those are good questions to think about.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Very good. Because how we are the way we are, it has so many factors, so many factors. So it's, you know, you guys are thinking really nicely about all the different angles, you know, because we can't just make it so simple, like, oh, my mother was neglectful, so I'm like that. It's like, well, what about father, and what about this? So those questions are good. I would say if you don't already, you guys have a journal, I would get a new one, and just call it Toxic Parents for the book, you know. And write the insights that are coming, because we have a lot of people in the group that probably are also thinking things, but you don't have time or feel comfortable expressing. That's fine, you know, but keep your notes, because you'll see over time how you start, the insights you're starting to get, how you start changing. And sometimes I'll mention other resources, you know, so you can go research that book or that article or that video or that other doctor's name, or, you know, things like that. We have e-courses too. This is like a big project to study how we all became this way, you know. So, and you can take those notes down, because it's easy to forget. When we're done with the hour, it's like, okay, bye, you know, and then come back a whole week later, and it's like, what did we talk about, you know? So, good questions, Vineet. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. There's someone else? I can't read it, Vilas. Oh, hi, Christy.
Hi.
Hi.
There you can see me.
Nice to see you.
Hi.
Hi.
Nice to see you. Thank you so much for doing this.
Sure.
I wanted to ask the question on, the whole shunya resonated with me, and I've done the test, as you know, and I was curious when he says he feels rejected and abandoned. I totally understood that. I can identify with that. But then he accepts that and goes off and does independent and more, doesn't rely on his parents. I'm wondering, is it possible that when you have a shunya parent, that you even older in life, 7, 10, 20, 50, you don't ever really accept it, and you're constantly, or not maybe constantly, but you are repeatedly trying to get your parent, your shunya parent, to pay attention to you?
Yes.
Is that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that's true. So it's like you don't accept it, and you're repeatedly trying. And so that's the kind of this dynamic where you're trying and you're desperate. So it's not that Shunya really totally accepted it, actually. But it's just a short clip to give you a feel. But what happens actually is part of you accepts it in some way. You know, in other words, to be a good boy, and to get love, I have to be a good boy. So I have to kind of go along with this whole charade. You know, but at the same time, I want your love more than anything, and I'm going to do stuff to try to get it. I'm never going to, give up on that dream. But then when you give it to me, I'm going to feel scared because it's too intense. I'm not used to feeling that. So even if it's not from mom, you will push the person away in some way, or you'll feel so uncomfortable that you'll just leave. But you'll still try to get it from the original parent too, unless you're aware of what you're doing, that they can't give it. And even if they could, it's not going to help you heal. But yes, you will chronically be trying to get it. That's why if you're on the receiving end of a Shunya type, it feels that you can never do anything to satisfy them, and you can never really feel close with them, because no matter what you do, they can't relax into the relationship and actually reciprocate. It's just you always giving and never giving enough, you know? And Shunya is still wanting more, wanting more, wanting more, or they just kick you away and you're like, wait, what happened? You know? The other thing is, in Ayurveda, right, you can be a mind type of sattva, peaceful, right, clear and calm and grounded, and always thinking about others, not in a codependent way, but trying to help uplift others through your presence and through your words and through your being, you know. That's a sattvic person. They're already full, and they're uplifting others, right? That person, even if they're shunya type, you know, because you can't help it if your parent was neglectful, you're going to operate in a different way. You'll get some insights about it. You'll study it and go, oh, okay, I was shunya because I was raised that way, but I'm not going to act like that. So they'll connect those dots, right? The rajasic type is going to be pissed off. Like, you will give me love, you know? They're going to be angry, and if they don't get it, they're going to say, F you, I'm out of here, and reject and run away, you know? And the tamasic type is going to fall into depression, right? Because rajas is passion, so they're going to fight for it and be angry and try to get it or prove it or something, or educate. I'm going to explain it to you, why you're not giving me love. I'm learning in the Toxic Parent book, here's how you're not giving me love. Let's break it down. Let's break it down. Let's have a family call. You don't love me, and here's why, and here, you know, now you need to do it because you're acting in this way, you're neglectful. That's the rajasic type, right? They're going to try to push for something. And then the tamasic type is so depressed, they're just like, what's the point? You know, I don't even care. I give up. Let me just have a donut and some chocolate cake or something. So depending on that's why I'm saying there's so many layers to this. There's so many ways to look at it, you know, but one of those important ones is that we all have our own unique disposition coming in with our mind type, our body type, our swabhava, you know, introvert versus extrovert. There's so many different ways. But it's a good question, Christy. It's a complicated personality, you know, dynamic that's going on. Thank you.
Can I ask a question?
Okay, hello Kamala. Wait, I don't see you. Oh, there you are. Okay, yes, I see you.
Yes. So thank you for going so deep in this matter. Very interesting. And I have a question about when Sunya has the tendency to neglect himself or herself.
Yeah.
And but it efforts in taking care of others and forget about his or her own feelings.
Mm-hmm.
So that I'm wondering how this mechanism is coming, why it gets into this tendency.
Why do you think?
But taking care of others is like try to get what is lacking.
What's that?
From excuse me?
What's lacking?
The love and the attention and the feeling alive and feeling useful or something.
Yes.
Like
yes.
Validated or
yes.
existing even as we were discussing here.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And what will happen is the shunya is particularly good at that. The shunya type is very good in a pinch or if there's a crisis, shunya will be there and be like totally on. But shunya can't be consistent in your life. It's too hard for them to be emotionally available to you consistently. So if you are sick, if you're hurt, if you get in a crisis, your house burns down or something happens, they can be there for you, right? Because that's kind of represents their childhood of, I mean, it had to be probably very extreme for them to get the attention of the neglectful mother, right? So now they're going to jump into that situation. If there's something extreme, some sort of crisis, they'll jump in, they'll be there, they can show up for you, but they're not really emotionally connecting with you. They're treating you kind of like an object that needs to be helped in some way, and they can do it. And if you're not aware, you're going to think, oh, I'm really close with this type, this shunya, you know, we're really close. But actually, they're not close because they can't do it. You know, they're just trying to get love, but they don't even know if love hit them on the head with a sledgehammer, they wouldn't know it. They're just being propelled to try to do that because it's a chaotic moment where maybe they can get love, you know. But actually, they can't make this secure attachment where they're consistently with you in an emotionally attuned way. But that's why they're do it. You're right, Kamala. They're doing it because they're trying to get what's lacking, which is love and which is being seen. Okay?
Thank you.
Good question.
Thank you.
Okay. So I think we'll wrap up. One more? Okay.
So the question is, it seems that the narcissist and the Shunya personality are the perfect match in a sad way. Any thoughts on that?
Maybe they could share more what their thought is. The person who wrote the question, maybe they could share what their thought. How is that a perfect match?
Joshika,
Yes.
I wrote that.
Oh, Haribo.
Haribol. So it seems to me that the narcissist is really good at being charming and pulling you in, which is what the Sunya is craving.
Yes. You got it.
And neither of them can really follow through to establish a secure relationship. So at the same time, they're trauma bonded almost.
Yes. You got it. Exactly.
Any thoughts?
Exactly. You nailed it. Good analysis, Rajavinodini. Yep. That's what happens. So the Shunya is so desperate and feeling hollow and empty, so desperate for love. And the narcissistic type, it doesn't have to be a narcissist, because that's like, like a personality disorder. There's many people who have narcissistic characteristics, a few little trickled in, right? So that type who's very good at using sweet words that they don't mean to control you and pull you in, the Shunya is just going to eat that up like ice cream, And it feels good to them. Why? Because they don't even know what a secure attachment feels like, because they didn't have it for mom. So the narcissist can't do it for different reasons. Narcissist type, and the Shunya can't do it. So it feels perfectly comfortable. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, this is it, but really it's like they haven't made any kind of bond other than the narcissist doing their thing to rope them in and make them feel good temporarily. And the Shunya going, oh, finally, somebody saw me and loved me. You're right.
Seems like they use each other.
Yeah, it's true. It's not, the Shunya is not the victim here. You're right, exactly right. They're each getting something out of it, equally, and they're like a match made in heaven. There's that book, what's it called? The Human Magnet Syndrome, that talks about that. I mean, they don't call it Shunya, but this narcissist and the Shunya type, the hollow, empty one, and the one who can fill them with all the sweet words and love. Yeah, so this is also why it's so hard to get out of. So many marriages are based on this, because it's a magnetic attraction, and it's so hard to break out of that. Good insights. Thank you for asking. Radhe, you guys. So we'll see you next week. We'll keep going. I saw somebody had written for the link to the parenting survey. So it's on our website. I'll just say in case anyone else is wanting to take it again, especially one for mom and one for dad, take it again. It's on the top of our website, myvedicpsychology.com. At the top, it says parenting. And if you just click there, the survey's on that page. It's also, if you're registered for this book club, it's there as well in the discussion forum. So thank you guys for the great discussion. As you see, we're moving nice and slow through the book. We didn't read one page, one word, but we're going so deep on a 1-minute video, right? So great job, and I'll see you next week. Haribo. Haribo.